Hey folks, welcome back to another Corax and Coffee unboxing video. I'm your host, Pete Steele. And today, I'm here to tell you that if you are anything like me, you love a good North American folktale. And by North American, I really mean the United States and Canada, by which I mean mostly the United States. But they are full of adventure and excitement and frontierism and plaid flannel, something like that. I don't know. Don't worry about that. So today we are actually unboxing Fearsome Wilderness, which is a massive spin on kind of the typical or traditional United States Canadian folktale, where this game takes Paul Bunyan and Calamity Jane and Babe the Blue Ox and Johnny Appleseed and kind of goes inside what their horrific imaginations or nightmares might be and puts them all on a beach and makes them fight the haunted, scary, horrific wilderness in kind of a Lovecraftian horror type theme. And if it were a movie, it would be directed by a combination of Tim Burton and Quentin Tarantino. So let's go to the table and see what's in the box. All right, here's the Fearsome Wilderness box. Let's just get right into it. And you actually have an itemized component list right on the back of the box, which is actually really nice. Check that out. And then we have for 45 to 90 minutes, 1 to 4 players, ages 14 plus. Yeah, this box is really heavy. And look at this. Look at this book. This is the real deal. All right. Table of contents. This well. This picture reminds me of, those scary stories to tell in the dark books for kids back in the 90s. They probably still make them, but... And then you have an itemized illustrated component list in the rulebook as well. And we have a bookmark. Yeah, they did not hold back here. Day phase, night phase details, anatomy of the cards. This really feels like they probably have a full campaign in the back of this book. So we're not going to have character abilities, winter rules. This really feels like a production of Kingdom Death Monster, the miniature version, because Kingdom Death Monster has a rulebook just like this. I really love the green on these pine trees. The first week. Okay, yeah, so now this is the 12 weeks of winter. We're getting into the campaign, so it would take forever to flip through this book. As you can see, we're only maybe 15 or 20% of the way through the pages, but there's a lot in here. I'm not going to spoil all of that for you. You can discover that on your own. Unboxing this game is actually really exciting for me because it brings up memories of going to the public library with my siblings and my mom and my dad when I was a little kid, and we would go almost every week, and we'd each check out books that my dad would read to us that night, or we'd read on our own. But if we had been good little boys and girls that week, we would also get to check out a video on VHS, dating myself there, from the public library. And I remember this one particular video that I like to check out week after week, which was a animated tale of Paul Bunyan clearing forests and going on other adventures with his fellow woodcutters and whatnot. And at the end of it, he discovered that he came to the realization, the moral, personal realization that, oh, I've cut 100 million trees. I'm going to spend the rest of my life planting 100 million trees. So it was this really interesting tale of awakening and maybe not conservatorship, but environmentalism at the end. So that's something that this game brings up for me from my childhood. And the reason I share that with you is board games can bring up things and old memories that we connect to, making that game come even more alive for us. But this is just such a nice, beautiful production. This is really what you're paying for in this game. And you've got this advertisement for all these printed miniatures that they would love for you to buy in expansions. But there's no way all of those come in painted versions, come in the base game. Alright, and another advertisement. Sure, why not? Okay. So here we have a punch board. Double-sided, and these punch out really nicely and cleanly. You could clean these up if you wanted to, but you don't need to. And here we have that over there. We have game board, which folds out into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. And on one side, you won't be able to see the whole thing. You have this kind of wilderness, and you have kind of a more desolate wilderness forest on the other side. Folds up accordion style really nicely. And going back to the box here, we have a Folk Heroes Journal. Okay, so you have Weeks in the Wilderness, and then scenario, and this is kind of like an achievement type record sheet. And this is all for the campaign, and you get, I think these are all the same, yeah, and they're double-sided, which is nice. Yeah, scenario 1 through scenario 12. It's a nice record sheet with notes. You probably got 20 of them. Very nice. All right, so let's look at these minis, which are washed, by the way. These are actually just gorgeous, gorgeous sculpts. Gorgeous sculpts. Look at that action shot, action pose. Oh, look at that backpack with you can see the lantern there, right there, and other camping supplies, yeah. They did not hold back on these sculpts. Look at that mining axe. And there's Paul Bunyan. Oh, these are just incredible. All right. And then the game keeps emphasizing this well. I don't know if this is where the horrors come out of, but they do have this well miniature, so I assume that is central in a lot of the scenarios or campaign. Include this well, or maybe it's just, the single piece of terrain they want to include because they wanted one piece of terrain. So, a well. There you go. Next, we have 2 decks of cards, which we'll get to in a minute. And I already pulled this up, but this thing is single-sided. You can tell here, this is... I don't know what this is. If this is just extra area for terrain or a staging area for cards or monsters. But it's unmarked, so it's nice. It's very nice, thick cardboard. But I have no idea what it does yet. So we'll just have to figure that out. And here we have some some really nice wooden, I think these are full centimeter cubes, unpainted, but got some sort of glaze or shellac on them, so they're not rough. They are finished. And you get a huge baggie of them. These are actually really nice. I've never seen a finished cube that has been unpainted like this before. That is wood. That's cool. New component for me. Nice. All right. And then it looks like we have 12 custom 6-sided dice. And these are a little bit lighter in color, and the other ones you can see here are darker in color. I don't know if that has meaning or not, but it seems like it might. So for the darker ones, we have I assume that's a teepee or wigwam or something, and an X, and a leaf, and a skull, and looks like a bear print, and a bag, a lantern. I don't know what that's supposed to be. But it looks like this one is the same. I think, yeah, it looks like all of the darker dice have that same thing going on. And then on this lighter die, we have a kind of scratch mark X, and triple, and 2 looks like a broken bone, and 1, and that looks like a mountain, and a 2. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't know. Kind of seems like a stylized standard 6-sided die, but it's not quite that. And it looks like these are all the same as well. All right. So now we have these 2 decks of cards. Open both of these up real quick. So we've got these kind of standard card backs right here, all the same. Well, not quite all the same, so it stops there. But on this card back, there's actually quite a bit of artwork. It's not just a pattern. It looks like you've got, in the bottom circle there, you've got somebody in the woods, and then the top is this well that the designers keep talking about. Okay. And then we have this card back of this tree design. And those, a whole bunch of those trees here. And then we have, oh, this looks like a monster card of some type. We have a whole bunch of monster card backs. Go to there. And okay, so we have some more of these there, and then okay, so yeah, so here we have the character cards. There's Paul Bunyan, Babe the Blue Ox, Calamity Jane. I should have said these names when they're going through the minis, but I couldn't remember all of who they included in the box. And Johnny Appleseed. So you get these 4 characters in the game. So very clearly, this game has a new modernized horror take on some classic United States and Canadian folk heroes or legends, some of which are based on real people like Calamity Jane and Johnny Appleseed, where others are an amalgamation of kind of woodcutters, being Paul Bunyan in all likelihood, and an anthropomorphization of an ox, being Babe the Blue Ox. But it's a new take, and I really enjoy kind of seeing the progression of folk tales throughout history as they're told and retold and re-retold, and different individuals and microcultures put their new spin on old stories. I think that's just fascinating. And then we have double-sided player aid cards for, looks like, day and night phase there. And then we have these 3 decks of cards. So let's do these woodcutter well cards first. So we have aching physical condition. -1 movement, cannot carry heavy items like logs or stones. Anguished. Mental condition, cannot give or receive food or water to or from other folk heroes. Anxious. Mental condition, must be the last folk hero to take their dice rolling actions. Okay. I said I went to the library when I was a little kid and checked out this Paul Bunyan video, and what's great is that these stories, these origin stories, are so old that they actually predate libraries as an institution. That's not true at all. Not in the slightest. Libraries predate any of these folktales by thousands and thousands of years. If you thought I was telling the truth, you should probably read more history, which, interestingly, you can find at your local library. Bitter, mental condition. Bleeding ears, physical condition. Well, this is blinded, physical condition. We've got some broken cards, bruised, physical condition. So a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not going to show every single one of these cards. Whole bunch of stuff. Enraged, physical condition. That can happen to your characters. And then with the same card back, you have some other things here. Like here, it looks like these are, even though these have that same card back, these, get this in focus here, looks like ways to store food and water for your different characters. And then we have this tree back card, which white pine, western red cedar, are different types of trees. And they look like they have different resource iconography and Douglas fir. I just love this artwork. It's just fantastic. Rotted tree. So these look like they're ways to get resources maybe, but cost you something or maybe do something bad to you in the case of a cursed tree. All right. Then we have some monsters. Here is the thumbnail art star of Fearsome Wilderness. He's not so fierce right now, but he does love the camera. He wanted a little bit of a cameo. So, say hi. Hi. Ball-tailed cat, cactus cat. The dingmole. He's fine. He's fine. He's not going to haunt your nightmares. So, Goofus bird. All right, cool. A few of those. Gumbaroo. The hoop snake. Anyway, whole bunch of these. There are some repeats and then a whole bunch of tree queek. Whole bunch of Wampus cat. So some repeats and a whole bunch of original stuff as well. But it looks like on repeats of the cards, it's the same artwork, which is fine because there's just tons of artwork in this game. Love the aesthetic. That is everything that comes in the game, or at least base game, of Fearsome Wilderness. Hey y'all, I hope you really did enjoy that board game unboxing video. Before we end here, I do want to go back to the rulebook for Fearsome Wilderness, because as we've been talking about libraries and folktales, it struck me that this is really laid out like a storybook, which I can't believe is a design accident. So we just take a look here. I mean, just it's laid out with these pictures, and I mean, there's a lot of text on this page, but you know, on some of these other pages, you have these gorgeous illustrations, and it just, you know, the size and shape and feel of this book makes me want to, read it, curl up in a library in a beanbag chair, or, Saturday morning at home with French toast and hot cocoa and just kind of peruse through it. Maybe don't read this book to a child because of the horror theme, but I just think this is gorgeous, gorgeous design, and wanted to really call out the designers and publishers on something that I love that came in this box. So if you did like this board game unboxing video, you might want to check out our other board game unboxing videos, as well as our print and play content, our printed game reviews, and our podcast, all available on coraxandcoffee.com. Until next time, I'm your host, Pete Steele. Take care all.